Hi, this is Doc Williams with MachineSense. Today we're here to unbox a FeverWarn 230 device and show you how it all goes together and do some initial testing. So I've already opened up the box, and the first thing you're going to see on the top of the box here is our instructions. Now, we know instructions are important, so we're just going to set them aside just in case we get in real trouble. So here's what's in the box. The first thing, let's go get all this stuff out of here. This is the power supply. This is your speaker inside this box. They make these manufacturers' names, they may change from time to time, but this is what we're using right now. So there's your speaker, there's your power supply. Over here is your actual FeverWarn 230 scanner. We'll set that guy there. In here are a couple pieces of this 3M dual lock stuff, sort of like Velcro, and we'll use that to mount our speaker. And on the back of the FeverWarn device, there's already some of this dual lock on there, so you just peel these off, stick it where it goes, okay? But right now, we're not going to do any installation. We're just getting this stuff out of the box and making sure everything works, okay? So in the bottom of the box, underneath all this, pull that out, don't throw the box away yet. And what you'll find are a pile of cables and a small Wi-Fi dongle that you may or may not have to use, but it's in every box. So that's it. So let's put the box over here with the instructions. And again, this is the Wi-Fi dongle. There's nothing spectacular about that. We'll set that over here. Now the cables, we have a short Ethernet cable in case you want to go ahead and hook this guy up to your network on hard Ethernet. And if you were to do that, you'd be connecting this in here, your RJ45, up to your company's infrastructure that gets to the internet. Got to get to the internet or this won't work, okay? So make sure you do that. Now, if you don't have the ability to get to the internet through hard Ethernet, but you got a Wi-Fi that will get you there, so we just won't use this guy, and we'll use this Wi-Fi booster. And he can go in any of these 4 USB ports. Everything is cool. Stick it in there, no adjust and no configuration or anything. He'll figure it all out. So that's what that's for. And let's set these cables aside. So that's the Ethernet. That's the Wi-Fi dongle. Then we're going to have get that out of there. We're going to have 2 USB cables. On one end is a USB Type A that will plug into our power supply, and on the other end is a micro USB which will power either this guy or the speaker. So we've got 2 cables like that. One will power up the FeverWarn device. The other one will power up the speaker. Both of them will plug from here into this power supply guy. He'll plug in over here to a power strip or wherever you have power. Now there's one more cable. This cable here is the stereo speaker cable, and it's going to run from the speaker into the audio output of the FeverWarn. And that'll get the messages out to the speaker, so the guy who's going through the sensor is using his hand in the sensor will know whether he's okay or not. All right, so that's all the pieces we have to this guy. And don't forget your instructions. But we're going to go through all of this next. Okay, now I've taken all the little cable ties off of the cables and I've gotten everything up out of the boxes here. So let's start plugging things together to do our initial testing. Now the first thing we want to plug together is the FeverWarn scanner, because he takes a minute, 2 minutes to get booted up. So while he's booting up, we'll do some of this other stuff. So let's grab one of these USB cables and get that ready and plug our USB power supply in anywhere we like over here. Let me go ahead and get this box out of the way. Okay, so now we'll plug in the Type A end into here, our power supply, and the micro end we'll plug into the FeverWarn device right here, and it goes small side down, okay, like most things do. So anyway, it's a little difficult to get this in here, so you got to kind of wiggle around a little bit. I think I got it. Now, to tell that it's powered on, either you got to wait a minute or two, or you can sort of look down into this end and you'll see some red lights and stuff like that. So that tells you you have power. So we'll just leave that guy sit there. and he'll light up here in a little while. So now on our speaker, let's take the other USB cable and we'll plug that into our power supply. Take the other end and plug it into the end of our Anker speaker. Now this particular one goes small side up. So, I mean, you can see that, but anyway, small side up, plug this guy in, and when you plug him in, you'll see that red light. That tells you got good power, okay? So now you have power in there, but that's not all. Before you do anything else, now this is probably really difficult to pick up on this camera. There's a power button. It's a rubber membrane that's over this whole thing, and they've got power, turn it down, turn it up, and work with Bluetooth. We don't care about Bluetooth in this case because we're going to go hardwired. So anyway, if you look at the front of this guy and you don't see any lights on it, it is not powered up and you'll never get any sounds out of it. So the first thing we have to do is power it up. Now, if you look on this end, I'm 99% sure you'll never be able to see this, but there's a little power symbol. So you have to push that down and hold it for a second. And there you'll hear that sound. Once you hear that sound, you're powered up, you're ready to go. So now let's get our audio cable. We got our regular standard American stereo audio cable. And again, that plugs in right next to where you see where you have the micro USB plugged in. And make sure you plug it in all the way because it's got a bad habit of not going in all the way. Now, let's go over here to our FeverWarn scanner, which looks like he's come to life by this. You can see that white light, or the light can be any color when you first come up because it looks everywhere for all kinds of heat sources. So anyway, on the scanner over here, you see the little round hole. That's for this stereo cable. So you just stick it in there, and again, make sure it's in all the way. So that's it. Now everything's hooked together. Now what you'll see is you notice you've got a white light lit, and the white light means I'm up and running, but there's nothing in my area to scan. It's alive. So what we're going to do here, let's go ahead and put our hand in there, just like when normally we would put a fist. So I'll just stick my hand in there, and what should happen is he goes blue when he sees that there's a hand in there, and then he'll turn green when he says, hey, you're good, everything's fine, and you can proceed. And then the speaker should make a noise. So let's see what happens. So put my hand in there, it goes blue,
go home early.
It goes green, and the speaker said something. So when you're back out of there, it's white. Again, let's put our hand in there, and this time I'll keep my mouth shut so you can hear the speaker.
Let's go home early.
Let's go home early. That's what I always want to hear. So if you've watched any of the other videos, we programmed that in. Okay, so all of the warning messages and messages that will come out on the speaker are programmable. So you can go look through our videos, and then I think in the initial onboarding video, I think we talked about this a little bit about how to set up the different messages. So I think the normal message is your temperature is okay, please proceed. But I changed it a little bit. So again, here's what you should be looking for. It's white, but there's nothing in there. It's blue as soon as you get in there. And then it'll either turn green or it'll turn red. If it turns red, obviously the guy's hot. If it turns green, the guy's there and everything's good. Now, before we end this video, there have been some issues. Let me put that aside. There have been some issues with guys when they originally test these things out. This happens to be pointing at some heat source. So what will happen is it'll turn different colors, and I'm going to point it around and see if I can get some reaction out of it. But now it's behaving properly today. But what you'll see from time to time is it might sit there and flash blue and white and such. Probably the problem is that you've got a heat source like right there. You may see this kind of behavior, and I'm pointing it at this Anker speaker. So if you've got anything that's a heat source in there, you may see that sort of behavior. Don't worry about that now, because we're just setting this thing up on the bench. Now, if you go out and you install it in the field where at your final location, and it does that, there's a problem. ordinarily that problem is going to be something like in the floor there's a heat vent, or maybe a heavy cable that's carrying a lot of current getting hot, something like that. So before you go and nail this thing down in its final location, you should hold it there and make sure that it's going to sit here white, like what we see right now. Okay, and if it's doing this, now I can't get it to do it. If it's doing the flashing red, flashing white and flashing blue, that means there's some heat source down in there that's bothering it. Okay, and you also see, like, you'll see that guy, he'll go blue and white right again if you wave your hand by there. And that logic was done to keep from, like, bugs flying by and birds flying by and anything quick. So you've got to be in that target for a second or two
Go home early.
before he'll recognize you. So that's it. If you get all this done, all your initial stuff is good. You don't have to worry about any of your hardware. All your cables are good. Your speaker is good. Your FeverWarn is good. Your power supply works. You're good. So after this, you can go on out and install it in its final location. And we're going to have another video on that probably within a couple of days. So we'll do that as well. But you can be confident now that everything you bought works the way we intended to work. Okay? That's it. And again, if anything doesn't work right, call the tech support guys. They love to talk to our customers. They get bored sometimes, and then they do stuff they shouldn't do. They fall asleep, they take a nap. So let's help them out. Okay? See you on the upside.